Welcome to the Bassmaster Studios here, and today we've got one of our Elite Series Skypes. We're getting to talk to some of our pros while we're not seeing them in person. We're going to be able to see them over the internet, and today we're going to go to the northeast corner of the United States to one of our second-year pros, Greg DiPalma. Greg, how are you today?
I'm good, man. I'm real good.
So obviously, we wanted to get the season going like we normally do, start the year off, do the Classic, and keep rolling, but we've had this little bit of hiccup worldwide with this virus. So for you, we've kind of seen a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. We know what the schedule is probably going to look like, and for you, how are you going to approach this? Because these lakes might not be at the time that we thought they'd be at.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot different as far as a whole for, I think, Bassmaster altogether, because typically a lot of us guys, we kind of like the spawning tournaments. I really do a lot, and we're pretty much going to be missing them now. So it's going to be a different approach. It's going to be a really good approach still. I feel like it's going to be good for not only us, but I think for the fans, just to see how us guys approach different scenarios than what we normally have had in the past. So I'm pretty excited about it still.
One aspect of it, like you mentioned, we didn't have the spawn events. A lot of these lakes have been getting different types of pressure. There's been a lot of people going out because that's the one thing that you're recommended to do during this time is to go outdoors. And so the lakes have been populated, but maybe not the tournament pressure most get this time of the year. So the fishing should still be good. But then the fall aspect of it, we may have one or two, maybe three events in that, that region of time that we normally don't fish events. So that'll be interesting. We haven't had a fall Elite Series event probably since the Elite Series was started back in 2006. So what are you looking forward to that? I know fall's tough, but fall can also mean a lot of different tactics at play.
Yeah, fall for me is not just for me, but all of our Northeast guys we have. We really have New Jersey, especially. We really have the seasons here as far as, spring, summer, fall, winter. So my whole career growing up, man, I kind of strived on fall fishing because it's like something I always look forward to. It's one of the best times of the year to catch not only a lot of fish, but your biggest fish, because you can really just get on the bait and follow them kind of fish around, man. It's a really fun time of year, fall. I'm really excited Bassmaster is going to do it during the fall, into the winter, because when I'm not fishing on tour or if I was just at home, man, I spent more time probably wintertime fishing than any time fishing as far as just, recreational fun fishing. So I'm looking forward to that part of the year for sure.
So for you probably don't get to fish at home much in that March and April time period because you're going to be out on the tour. You're going to be fishing the Opens or fishing the Elite Series events. So for you, have you been able to experiment? I know that you've got probably a boat build in the process. You got little lakes around New Jersey that you have to have certain boats for. So tell me about your experience there in the spring where you don't normally get to fish.
That's definitely one of the plus to this pandemic is, honestly, I get to go back to my roots a little bit. I haven't spawn fished around here in a really long time, so it was really nice to have time just to get out and kind of like go catch kind of the generation of fish that I missed for these past couple of years. It's really nice. I really enjoy this time of year because I know where to look for all these fish on every one of our lakes we have around here. So it's kind of easy, and it's just nice to go back to fun fishing in your roots sometimes. So I really enjoy it. So
Greg, your story from the Opens to the Elite Series path, that whole story is so intriguing to me. I know I met you early on at Bassmaster when I covered the Opens, and you'd been doing that for, I want to say, a decade or so, that you had been fishing off and on different divisions and whatnot, and you'd been real competitive. To be able to break through, make the Elite Series, and then to start out your year like you did last year at the St. John's, walk me through that first event, launching the boat, the first time you weigh in, the first time Dave Mercer says, giant bass, all of that. It had to be kind of a dream come true and a culmination of all your hard work.
Ronnie, it was just unbelievable. There's no other way to say it. It was truly, without a doubt, it was a fairy tale. It was a dream come true. It was everything times 100 that I ever thought it could be. Walking across that stage, walking up there the very first time, even before I even got to the stage, just in that weigh-in line was just Dude, I had butterflies. There's no other way to say it, but everything I've ever worked for was just worth, honestly, just that one moment. That's how it felt.
We're ready, baby.
Well, it's obviously good to start
ready.
out your Elite Series career on the right note, and you did. You were on camera in your first event. We got to see you at the St. John's. You caught some giant fish, and you had a good finish there. I think it was day 3 maybe at the weigh-in stage. Maybe it was day 2. You got up there, had a big bass, held it up for the crowd, and then when Mercer put that mic in your face, you said, man, I'm made for this, and you got excited. What made you, what realization did you have in your head to make you say that? Because it is something, hey, we want to be tough guys. We don't want to acknowledge when something means a lot to us, but that is some of the coolest moments when you see that it means a lot to an Elite Series pro just to be on that stage. And for you, it obviously came out really quick in your career.
I can't say enough good things about B.A.S.S. and just all my friends, family, and all my sponsors, man. I'm sorry getting choked up, but I was meant to do this, man. I love this.
Yeah, you were ready to say that, and I just kind of had, like, I felt emotion inside of me just from you saying that, honestly. It was just, I just let go. I was just natural and free, and what I thought in my mind, I actually didn't even think it. I just said it, and that was true. That was real. That was me. You know, to be a bass fisherman, man, it's not easy. And to get to that point in my career, to finally be on that stage, you know, it's just, Greg DiPalma came out. That's all I can say. They're the best moments, like you said. That's what we live for.
So you had a great season. We got to see you at the St. Lawrence River on camera and contend for that title, and a different kind of approach than we've seen at the St. Lawrence. But you made it work, and you had a good finish there. And then we saw, as the season progressed, you made the Bassmaster Classic, the 50th running of the Classic. What was that like? I'm just going to lay out and let you talk about experiencing the Classic for the first time being the 50th.
Man, you know, going back to what you said, where I fished the Opens all them years, growing up, a lot of my really good friends have fished at Bass Nation, the Federation. And for me to have the opportunity that I had to fish the Classic this year, the best way that I can describe it is blessed, because I've known so many guys that have worked their entire career in the Federation just for that one moment to walk across that stage, and I did it. It's not going to be the end. I want to do it every single year. I mean, once you feel it, there's no other tournament that I have ever experienced or have felt that even compares to what I felt going across that Classic stage, just being there for the week of the Classic. I mean, from start to finish, it's just like, you don't even need sleep. I got no sleep. As far as every night, I just lay in bed and I'm like, dude, I'm fishing a Classic. Like, and I had a good practice on top of it. Conditions changed a little bit, but it was just everything B.A.S.S. stands for me, has just been mind blowing. That's the only way I can say it.
So for you growing up, obviously you're a student of the game. You've watched a lot of events over the years and you've participated. Was there a Classic memory that stuck out for you, whether it was before you started fishing as a kid or while you were in the Opens, that kind of pushed you to, when you're about to give up and you don't know if it's worth pursuing anymore, that you see that moment on the stage, someone wins the Classic and you're like, I'm doing the right thing for Greg DiPalma?
That's an easy one. It's honestly, it's Iaconelli. When he won that Classic, you know, he lives 15 minutes from my house. I've competed against Mike my entire life. That was kind of the realization that I wouldn't say I needed to see, that a guy right here where I live just basically did the impossible. So that right there was by far the biggest moment outside of my career that inspired me to be, you know, and who I want to be. So Mike has done a lot, man. He really has, as far as pioneering the game, you know, and I'm fortunate to live in the same state he is, you know, so Mike definitely did it for me.
One big thing that is new for you this year is Bass University, and you've partnered up with them, and it made me think of them because of Iaconelli and being, you know, your neck of the woods, the Pete Glusiks, the Brian the Carpenters, all those guys that help with Bass University, Justin Kimmel. You guys are all about teaching people to fish, and that's something that Bassmaster's done. I used to pick up Bassmaster magazine when I was a kid and read every page 15 times to make sure I learned as much as I could. So for you, what kind of fulfillment do you get doing seminars, doing webinars, being able to teach people how to fish just all over the world at any given time? That's got to be cool, and it's also got to teach you some things as well, because you'll pick up some things that you didn't think about until you get asked a question.
Yeah, the Bass University for me is definitely the definition of full circle, because a long time ago, when I was really first getting into competitive bass fishing, I used to message Pete Galuzik all the time. And, Pete would get right back to me every single time and just give me answers to my questions. And now, I'm working side by side with, the whole cast of the Bass Show you just named, and then Pete and Mike, man. It's just this whole fishing thing, all the hard work that I put into it has come full circle. And it's just absolutely amazing. So anybody watching this, and I'm just a normal guy, nothing special. If you guys have a dream, man, and you can work for it and put the time in, it comes back around. That hard work pays off. So the whole Bass University thing is just a big time plus for me.
We were talking about the Classic, your first one, the 50th, had a good practice. Did you ever feel distracted? It can be a hard thing to comprehend the whole way in, the drive from the lake all the way to the Coliseum, the different practice schedule than you're used to. There can be a lot of things that get you out of whack. So for you, did you ever feel like you either forgot to soak it in, or because you were so focused on fishing, or sometimes you didn't rig a rod or two because you had to take care of this or that, because it is a crazy week?
Yeah, Thomas Allen asked me the same question. He asked me, he goes, a lot of these guys walk into this conference thing with big eyes. And he goes, I see different in you. And I was like, Thomas, I'm just going to be honest with you. I kind of strive on this kind of stuff. I'm the kind of person that doesn't like sitting still. So the more stuff that I can be doing actually helps me out in the long run. That's how I feel. So I never felt stressed, not one bit. But, preparation for the Classic was, dude, it was on 100 the whole entire time, with the pre-practice and then all the time in between the tournament and, the cutoff. I spent time, crossing my T's, dotting my I's as far as tackle goes and research. So I never
is going to help it.
I never stopped thinking about the Classic once I got into it. So all that, I really look forward to the whole entire gamut of it.
So you said you never stopped thinking about the Classic leading up to it. There's probably been a few days after it that you're like, man, I should have went and fished that spot, or the hindsight thing. Because we saw you had a pretty good event. And so did you think about that on your drive home from Guntersville of like, man, I should have hit that spot, or I should have spent 5 minutes there, or man, I didn't even think to throw that lure?
I left the Classic with zero regrets because when I was in the tournament situations,
Look at that jig.
And I literally would think of anything, I never hesitated. I just went and did it, because there really is a big difference fishing that Classic because there's no points involved. I mean, honestly, I've always heard that all these years, but until you fish one, you really have a different mindset. So I left nothing on the table, nothing that I could have did any different, no regrets, and it was just a enjoyable Classic on top of what it was,
So for you, we have the rest of the season on the Elite Series. You didn't get off to the best start at the St. Johns River. What was different about that? Because you had a great event there in 2019. 2020 threw some wrenches and some curveballs at y'all. So what was totally different for Greg DiPalma? And then the second part of that question is, what are you looking forward to the rest of the year, tournament-wise, to get your season started or kicked off in the right direction?
Okay. Yeah, so the St. John's for me, if you go back on all my B.A.S.S history, I probably have a pretty darn strong resume when it comes to river fishing, because river fishing is what I grew up doing mostly. The river on the St. John's this year, last year I targeted straight spawning fish that were on beds and stuff. This year on the St. John's, we had two scenarios that happened. Number one, we had a crazy blowout tide. I found something in practice that I think would have really put me up top easily, if not possibly won that tournament if the conditions did not change. So besides the blowout tide, the biggest thing that I had wrong going on was a timing deal. My timing was off, whether it was on a spot. Because of the blowout situation, it really made it hard not knowing the river. Besides that, I did have some spawning fish that I had marked. Every time I go in to catch one of my competitors already be on top of it.
Look at that, baby.
So
First
really
fish. That's
tough.
what I'm talking about.
It just seemed like I was just literally sometimes a minute off of being on something, and I just would miss it. The second part to that question, I'm going to say, well, I can't say the schedule, I guess, but there's one tournament this year that we fished, or we're going to fish this year, hopefully. That was on the schedule last year that did bad. And it's
got her,
one
son.
of my favorite lakes in the entire country. So
That is
I'm
a
kind
ham.
of looking for redemption on that one body of water.
So, Greg,
Oh, man.
a great year, probably learned a lot. What did you learn most about Greg DiPalma in 2019 that you can take for the rest of your fishing career and build off of, or, hey, I did this very well, I need to continue to do that?
The biggest thing that I learned last year was just kind of believing in yourself. You know, when you go to all these new bodies of water, it's tough, man, just because the number one thing in fishing that I tell everybody that you need is confidence. And when you go to a new body of water, you know, you can only do so much research on the internet, but it's just not easy. But if you can just, you know, keep to your game, do what you're good at, and have confidence in yourself and what you're doing, that's the biggest thing that I can say that I picked up from 2019.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Greg. I appreciate you taking the time to jump on Skype and talk to us for another Elite Series conversation. Good luck in the 2020 season. We hope to see you very soon, maybe not in person, but through the Bassmaster Live lens, and we can't wait to get the 2020 year going on strong, because we know it's going to, when it starts, it's not going to stop till the season's done.
Same here, yeah. I'm made for this, man, so I'm ready to go.
That was Greg DiPalma, second-year pro, coming off his first-ever Bassmaster Classic qualification. A bright future for him. And one guy, hey, he's taken a different path to the Elite Series, fishing the Opens for almost a decade, and he pushed through, and he is making his dream come true daily. Thank you for joining us on this Elite Series Skype conversation.